Welcome to Wisdom-Trek with Gramps. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, and we are on day 2845 of our trek. The purpose of Wisdom-Trek is to create a legacy of wisdom, to seek out discernment and insights, and to boldly grow where few have chosen to grow before. The title for today's Wisdom-Trek is The Qoph of Calling, the Nearness of the King in the Dark Watch. In our previous episode on this grand expedition, we climbed through the 18th stanza of Psalm 119, the Tsadhe section. We found a massive, unyielding anchor for our souls in the absolute, unbending justice of the Creator. We learned that when the pressure and stress of this hostile world bear down upon us like a vice grip, we do not have to panic. Instead, we can retreat into the thoroughly tested, perfectly refined promises of Yahweh, finding a supernatural, defiant joy in His eternal righteousness. Today, we take a deep breath, adjust our packs, and continue our ascent into the 19th stanza of this magnificent alphabetical mountain. We are exploring the Qoph section, covering Psalm 119, verses 145 through 152 in the New Living Translation. In the ancient Hebrew alphabet, the letter Qoph was often depicted as the back of a head or the eye of a needle. It carries the imagery of calling out, of drawing near, and of things coming full circle. This stanza is intensely atmospheric. The psalmist takes us into the darkest, most vulnerable hours of the night. He is surrounded by the approaching footsteps of his enemies. He is exhausted, and he is crying out with every ounce of strength he has left. But in the midst of this terrifying darkness, he makes a breathtaking discovery about the proximity of God. Let us step onto the trail and learn how to call out to the King when the shadows close in. The first segment is the wholehearted cry for rescue. Psalm 119, verses 145 and 146. I pray with all my heart, answer me, Lord. I will obey your decrees. I cry out to you. Rescue me, that I may obey your laws. The stanza opens with an intense, raw explosion of spiritual desperation. I pray with all my heart. Answer me, Lord. We must remember the context of the previous stanzas. The psalmist has been hunted by the arrogant, smeared with lies, and pushed to the absolute limits of his endurance. When you reach this level of exhaustion, polite, casual prayers evaporate. You do not offer God a half-hearted request. You cry out with the totality of your being. To pray with all my heart means that his intellect, his emotions, and his will are entirely unified and laser-focused on the throne of Yahweh. Notice the beautiful symmetry in his bargaining. He says, answer me, Lord. I will obey your decrees. I cry out to you. Rescue me, that I may obey your laws. Many times, when human beings are in pain, we cry out for rescue simply because we want the pain to stop. We want relief, comfort, and an easy life. But the psalmist elevates his prayer far beyond mere self-preservation. He is asking for deliverance with a highly specific, cosmic goal in mind. He wants to be rescued, precisely so that he can continue his mission as an obedient imager of the Most High God. He is saying, Lord, if my enemies destroy me, my voice of obedience is silenced in this world. Save my life, cut the ropes of the wicked, and deliver me from this trap, so that I can get back to the business of walking in your cosmic blueprint. My rescue is tied directly to your glory. The second segment is the Vigil of the Night Watches. Psalm 119, verses 147 and 148. I rise early before the sun is up. I cry out for help and put my hope in your words. I stay awake through the night, thinking about your promise. The psalmist details the grueling physical reality of his spiritual vigil. He is caught in a cycle of sleepless desperation. He declares, I rise early before the sun is up. I cry out for help and put my hope in your words. Literally, the Hebrew text says, I anticipate the dawn. Before the first rays of light crest the horizon, before the rest of the camp is awake, the psalmist is already on his knees. He beats the sun to the battlefield. He knows that if he waits until the chaotic noise of the day begins, his mind might be hijacked by fear. So, he preemptively anchors his soul, crying out for help in the pre-dawn stillness and forcibly attaching his hope to the solid rock of God's words. But the battle is not just in the morning. It consumes his nights as well. I stay awake through the night, thinking about your promise. In the ancient world, the night was divided into military watches. It was the time of greatest vulnerability. The darkness was considered the domain of chaos, the hunting ground of predators, in the operational hour of the dark, rebellious spiritual forces of the divine council. The wicked, who operate under the influence of these rebel gods, do their best work in the dark. The psalmist cannot sleep because the threat is so imminent. His eyes are wide open through every single watch of the night. But instead of letting his mind spin into a vortex of anxiety, he engages in active defensive warfare. He stays awake, thinking about your promise. Other translations say, meditating on your word. He uses the quiet, terrifying hours of the darkness to chew on the eternal promises of the Creator. He weaponizes his insomnia, turning his midnight terror into a sanctuary of deep theological reflection. The third segment is the plea for Hesed and the approaching threat. Psalm 119, verses 149 and 150. In your unfailing love, hear my prayer. Lord, revive me by your justice. Lawless people are coming to attack me. They live far from your instructions. As the night drags on, the psalmist makes his ultimate appeal. In your unfailing love, hear my prayer. Lord, revive me by your justice. Once again, we encounter the bedrock word of the Old Testament, Hesed. The psalmist does not demand a hearing based on his own perfect performance. He asks for an audience based entirely on God's loyal, covenant-keeping affection. He is exhausted, and his spirit is fainting, so he asks Yahweh to revive him. He needs the breath of life, Chaya, to be pumped back into his collapsing lungs. And he trusts that God's justice, his unbending commitment to making things right, will act as the defibrillator for his dying hope. The urgency of this revival is suddenly made clear in verse 150. The abstract fears of the night have materialized into a terrifying physical reality. He whispers, lawless people are coming to attack me. They live far from your instructions. Literally, the Hebrew says, they draw near who follow after wickedness. The footsteps are getting louder. The shadows are moving. The enemy is closing the distance. Notice how the psalmist describes these attackers. They are not just political opponents. They are lawless people. They have severed themselves from the Torah of God. To live far from your instructions is to live in the chaotic, rebellious wasteland of the fallen world. By rejecting the cosmic blueprint of the Creator, these individuals have become willing agents of the dark principalities. They are bringing the chaos of the void directly to the psalmist's doorstep. The threat is imminent, and the trap is about to spring. The fourth segment is the ultimate proximity and the eternal foundation. Psalm 119, verses 151 and 152. But you are near, O Lord, and all your commands are true. I have known from my earliest days that your laws will last forever. In the very moment when the lawless attackers draw near, when the tension is at its absolute peak, the psalmist experiences a stunning supernatural revelation. He looks past the approaching shadows, and he declares a massive paradigm-shifting truth. But you are near, O Lord, and all your commands are true. The wicked are drawing close, but Yahweh is already there. The enemy is near, but the Creator is nearer. This is a profound statement of divine immanence. In the pagan worldview, the gods were distant, aloof, and localized to specific temples or mountain peaks. If you were out in the wilderness, you were out of their jurisdiction. But the God of Israel is the maker of the heavens and the earth. He is entirely transcendent, sitting on the cosmic throne. Yet he is intensely, intimately present with his suffering exiles. When the psalmist realizes that the sovereign Lord is standing right beside him in the dark, the approaching threat suddenly loses its paralyzing power. The panic subsides. Because God is near, he knows that all your commands are true. The protective boundaries of God's laws have not evaporated in the night. The truth holds firm, even when the enemy has surrounded the camp. The stanza concludes with a beautiful, sweeping look back across the timeline of his life. I have known from my earliest days that your laws will last forever. Literally, of old I have known from your testimonies that you have founded them forever. In the midst of a terrifying, chaotic crisis, the psalmist grounds himself in history. He remembers the lessons he learned as a child. He remembers the ancient stories of the Exodus, the parting of the sea, and the giving of the law at Sinai. He realizes that the cosmic blueprint of Yahweh is not a temporary, fragile experiment. God did not build his kingdom on shifting sand. He founded his laws forever. They are eternal. They predate the current rebellion of the darkness, and they will outlast the lawless people who are currently trying to attack him. The crisis of the moment is temporary, but the foundation of God's word is everlasting. Psalm 119, verses 145 through 152, provides us with a profound, battle-tested manual for surviving the darkest hours of our lives. It teaches us that it is entirely appropriate to cry out with all of our hearts, begging for rescue. But it also challenges us to align our desire for deliverance with our commitment to obedience. We should ask God to save us so that we can continue serving Him. As you walk your trek today, remember that the night watches can be terrifying. When anxiety keeps you awake, do not let your mind spiral into the void. Anticipate the dawn by aggressively meditating on the promises of the Creator. Let His Word fill the silence of your insomnia. When you feel the lawless, chaotic forces of this world drawing near to attack your family, your faith, or your peace of mind, remember the great reversal of this stanza. The enemy may be close, but your God is closer. Rest in the profound nearness of your King, and anchor your trembling heart to the laws that He established forever. If you found this podcast insightful, please subscribe and leave us a review. Then encourage your friends and family to join us, and come along tomorrow for another day of Wisdom-Trek, Creating a Legacy. Thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, mentor, and most importantly, I am your friend as I serve you through this Wisdom-Trek podcast and journal. As we take this trek of life together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, leave a living legacy each day. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and create a great day every day. See you next time for more daily wisdom.